What's going on today, guys? So I wanted to do a little update on the hatch. Since we've been focusing so much on the Del Sol and the Microsquirt videos, I kind of felt like I was leaving this one out. Progress has been going, but it has been slow on this. But that's okay. We want to take our time, do it right. First things first, the suspension. I was going to tear apart the rear suspension like I did the front. The front is all brand new. Everything is brand new. Even the steering rack has been fully rebuilt. I mean, everything that is a wear part up there has been replaced. So I was going to do the rear, and then whenever I started digging into it, I realized that it all is drum brakes. So I want to upgrade that. The other hatch that I got has disc brakes on it. So once I get this running, I'm going to put it on the lift, and I will swap both of them out, being that the other one's kind of a parts car anyways. As for the engine, I went ahead and did the epoxy in the water jacket. This was kind of a... one side did really good. One side almost screwed me over. So this side went real easy. I taped it off and cut out the water jacket area and filled it up full of sugar, about 3/4 of an inch from the top, and poured this in, let it sit overnight. Well, actually I let it sit for 40 minutes, pulled the tape off, made sure there was no epoxy on the surface. That worked out perfect. So you'll see that the water pump has these two holes in here. I put a rag in there, or a napkin, on both sides whenever I fill it up full of sugar. I got this side leveled out, and I went to do this side. Everything went perfect as normal until I went to pull the tape off after 40 minutes. Now, this one I did everything to the T, 40 minutes, tape came off, everything worked out perfect. This side, I got a little carried away, got busy with something else, and forgot about it. So this one actually came out at like 1 hour and 20 minutes. This stuff was, it wasn't set up hard yet, but you could tell that it was way more set up than the 40 minutes on this side. Whenever I went to pull the tape off the deck, I pulled the napkin out over here, and the sugar started dropping. And then this started dropping a few minutes later. So luckily I had enough left over that I had a little bit to pour in there. I made sure that it was mixed in and it blended in really nice. But this side was a little bit thicker. It's thicker than 3/4 inch. It's more like 1 inch to 1 inch and 1/8 probably. So I went ahead and drilled a couple extra holes in this side. And then my OCD kicked in, and I had to drill holes on this side. And then it really kicked in, and I drilled extra holes on this side. So everything matches. But the epoxy's done. It all looks good. I did get into the port a little bit and kind of thinned it out as much as I could. Of course, you can't really reach in there very well. So I did what I could do. I'm going to rotate this. And I'm going to get assembly lube all over my hands. So the crank got balanced. I went ahead and sent it off. The aftermarket I-beams with the Wiseco's and everything that was included in that, they weighed about 1.5 pounds heavier than the factory stuff. That's a total between all 6 rods and pistons. It was between 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, and that's a lot whenever you're spinning it at super high RPM. So I went ahead and had that done. That took a few weeks. A few instances almost went bad. I almost dropped this crank as I was getting it out of the truck. I had it boxed up. I had it wrapped in some hoodies and some other stuff. That box actually ripped, and the crank about took a crap and went on the ground. Luckily, I caught it, saved it, everything looks good. Scared me. I went with the ACL race bearings in this motor. I'd actually put them in the Del Sol, and everything came out perfect. So, of course, I went back to the same brand. The mains came out perfect. They're in the middle of the spec, and everything looked good. Perfect for me. The rod bearings, on the other hand, did not. These ACL rod bearings are a little too loose for my liking. They were basically at the service limit, so I'm not going to run them. We're going to try to fit them into the EF hatch, since he's actually building his motor also. And I'm going to have to order another set of bearings. And that's where I'm kind of stuck in the dilemma. Rod bearings right now are super hard to come by. They're basically sold out everywhere. You can't get a hold of them. I can't even get another set of ACLs. I've kept an eye out for a few weeks, and I have yet to see anything. So, and I'm not even 100% sure I want to go back with ACL, because if their quality control is spot on, these bearings are fine. The next set of bearings may come out to be the exact same. So I had some Honda bearings out of the this motor, actually, specifically. And these are the yellow bearings. All of them were yellow. The crank was stamped exactly the same. The rods were good. I actually took the yellow bearings, put them in those rods, put them in here, plastic gauged them, and every single one of them came out perfect. But with as much money as I'm going to have in this thing and the power level that I'm trying to get to, I do not want to run some used bearings. Absolutely not. So I'm going to go ahead and probably order the Honda ones, but I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. There are some big price differences going on right now. Some sites have the bearings at like $6. Some of them are at $16 per half. So I'm going to need 12 halves, six rods. So I'm going to hold off on that for a little bit. I'm probably going to go ahead and assemble this, just put the oil pan on it, the oil pump, water pump, etc., etc. And probably even slap the heads on there, get the intake and everything on there. I'm probably going to bolt up to the transmission and get it dropped in the hatch. Basically, I'm just going to put what I need on there for clearancing, basically. Not even really going to worry about gaskets or anything, because I'm going to end up having to pull it back out. But this is going to allow me to go ahead and go forward with the wiring, the plumbing, etc., etc. So that's kind of where this is at. If there's anything specific you guys want to see, basically now's the time to let me know. I think one person had requested that I do a little bit better transmission video. Well, I got multiple transmissions here, and I don't know if I went over it or not, but I have the 6-gear cuff and the let's see, the gears. Now these are still synchronized gears. They're just straight cut, and I'm hoping that I will be able to stay in 4th gear in the quarter with this car with the 24.5-inch slicks. I'm hoping that I can stay in 4th gear and wrap this motor out. And I think I'll be 8 to 9,000 RPM. I think it's like 75 to 8,500, something like that. Anyways, I'm hoping to stay in there. So as long as I build this engine good enough that I can run that amount of RPM, I should easily have a 10-second car. So, and that's kind of where I want to start out with anyways. And then we'll start to push the car a little bit harder, and see how far we can get it. But anyways, if there's a specific thing that you want to see or a specific thing that you want me to cover on this car, I'm kind of just going at my own pace. I'm hoping to have this car running by the end of the race season and hopefully get 1 or 2 good runs this year yet. But in the meantime, I'm going to race the Del Sol. I'm going to build my own weight plate in the front that I can easily unbolt and bolt back on because I don't want it on there all the time. So we'll race the Del Sol until we can get this going. I do have the Lexan windows already in. I do not know if I'm going to run them. It is an unfortunate event. I tend to find myself spending money that I later decide not to use. Kind of like the fuel cell, which if I run the fuel cell, I have to build a firewall around it, and I really kind of don't want to do that. And then the Lexan, it is kind of a deal where I'm not sure if I can race this where I do at the race day that I want to race it. So we have a group of guys that's, I don't know, 5 to 15 of us go, and in that class or in that night racing, it is considered a street car racing night, no race cars. So I kind of have to watch what I do. So if the Lexan windows are going to get me kicked out, I will not run them. I'll just run the glass windows back in it. And I actually have the other 2 glass windows. We just took them out since I have the Lexan. And then I started finding all this out, and now I'm thinking about it now. So we're going to hold off on gluing that in. I'll probably take the Del Sol up there one night, and I will start talking to the techs and maybe get 4 or 5 of their opinions on it. And then that will decide whether I run the Lexan windows or not. But like I said, if there's anything you guys want to see specifically, just let me know. The heads are already assembled, so I'm kind of already past that. But I can do a little walkthrough video on how to do it, how I do it. But anything else that needs to be done, I can video it, of course, and kind of walk you through how I go about doing it. That's going to do it for today. Don't forget, smash that like button. And if you like to see content like this, please consider subscribing. And if you have friends that are interested in the same content, don't be afraid to share it. That really helps the channel out. We'll catch you guys in the next video.